Oh, it's been so long since I had to respond to articles, man. Oh, I feel like I'm right at home right now. So yesterday, or I believe 2 days ago, no, yesterday, the CEO has talked about why Star Wars Outlaws has failed. And he has his opinion. And so I, of course, wanted to give mine because, I trying to get some views. That's pretty much it. So basically, I'm going to read the article. I have some assumptions as to what is happening right now, but I do have to give my thoughts about the game in general because I will talk about it later, but I didn't play it when it released. I played it a little bit later. That's what I wanted to talk about. So during a recent shareholding meeting, Guillemot was asked several questions about the development and eventual release of the Outlaws. No big secret that the game didn't perform as well as expected, and in September exclusively revealed that the title had sold just 1 million copies in a month on the market. Talking about the issues that plagued Outlaws, Guillemot made a suggestion about the Star Wars brand that hasn't set well with some fans. We didn't reach our sales target, clearly. We had turned out the result expected of it, were made clear, but whatever they were, fell far short of hitting them. To explain the downfall of his Outlaws, he first criticized the brand before talking about the game's technical performance. Alright, so I'm already getting the feeling that this guy is probably not able to make another Star Wars game because he's already talked bad about it. We didn't reach a sales target. The game suffered from a number of items. First, it suffered from the fact that it was released at a time when the brand that it belonged to was in a bit of choppy waters. I don't know, maybe if this was released like 5 years ago in 2019 or 18 when The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker came out, yeah, sure, I'd say it's a bit of choppy waters. And while some of the series nowadays has kind of been a hit or miss, I feel like that wouldn't really affect the game. And I'm also going to talk about that why. We did heavily improve the game by troubleshooting and debugging, and when it will be released on upcoming consoles such as the Switch 2, it will be the new version of the game. Sure, but I mean, those guys have, if we're waiting a whole fucking year extra after release to get the new version of the game, then that's just like a big fuck you to the face for all the people that bought it when it just came out. Or rented it. Because, again, things I'll be talking about when I'm done reading. It was released in August 2024 and failed to gain much traction, even with the assumption that it would sell just because it's Star Wars. It's tough to say that the brand is in choppy waters, as one of the biggest talking points this year is that Star Wars Battlefront 2 has skyrocketed in popularity several years after being released, and most of that comes from a renewed interest in the series because of the continued expansion of the multimedia universe. Yeah, so what do you think Star Wars Outlaws failed? So this was actually a point I wanted to talk about. I genuinely believe that it has nothing to do with the brand itself because there is raised popularity in other games recently. In this case, it's Battlefront 2. You could argue indeed it's because of Andor Season 2 and it did play a big role in people re-liking Star Wars. While I don't know the numbers, I feel like Andor doesn't really reach that many viewers, but I could be wrong in this department, so someone could correct me. As much as I love Andor, and as much as probably a ton of other people have loved Andor, I feel like it's not a popular series compared to many other Star Wars media, or just media in general. I don't feel like it's being talked about enough. You obviously had May the 4th, and I think you had at the time a couple streamers that came back to it and people talking about it, and that's just the resurgence. People came back to it and they started playing it. But they started playing Battlefront 2. They didn't start playing Star Wars Outlaws, So why is that? So basically, the first thing I wanted to mention outside of all this, because this was all purely for the article, as I said, I did not play when it was released. I did hear a lot about the game when it was released, more from a performance standpoint and also just how buggy it was. So I played it actually during the Steam summer sale. It was on, I think, 50 or 60% sale off. I thought, you know what? I currently have no game on the list. I'll take a look at Outlaws. I have played quite a bit of it, but ultimately, and this is why I'm just reacting to this article, I never finished the game because I just got bored of it. And I'm going to talk about the reasons why. There's also just other games that were better at the time, and it's just not catching my attention as much as it should have. Whereas other Star Wars games have done that. Battlefront 2 did it. Battlefront 1 even did it. Jedi Survivor didn't, but that was more from a performance standpoint. But Fallen Order did it, for example. Now, I haven't been the biggest fan of Star Wars games since the acquisition of Disney. I feel like it's definitely lost a lot of the magic compared to games like the Jedi Knight series, Knights of the Old Republic, even the Lego games, Bounty Hunter. I could go on a list because there's a lot of good games. Empire War. again, I could go on. There's a lot of great games for Star Wars that I feel like it's not something you can compete with current Star Wars media, because I don't feel like there's any Star Wars magic in it, in my opinion. It's just not as good. It's too safe. I feel like nowadays, when I play a Star Wars game, I'm playing the game first rather than I'm playing Star Wars, if that makes sense. Whereas in older media, it was more about Star Wars than the game itself. I know this is a weird example, but I feel like brand-wise, I was busy more with Star Wars content back in the day rather than I am now. I think everything has been too gamified. Everything has become too safe. There's no experiments. There's no new mechanics. Everything is just same old, same old. And the problem with Ubisoft in this case is that it is safe. And Ubisoft has been safe for many, many years. And it's been going on for just so long that people's expectancy of this game is gonna be the same. I wasn't planning to play Outlaws because I got so burned out from their RPG Assassin's Creed series that I knew the direction Outlaws was going. And if you haven't followed the channel and you're new here, I've even talked about the pricing system of Star Wars Outlaws. There's a whole video about me just absolutely taking the piss out of the separate amount of prices a single player game has. I'm basically paying $20 more for for 2 extra cosmetic bundles for each character and vehicle, and a digital art book. You know what I love? Physical art books, you know? And Ubisoft did those, which is ridiculous. Just have one edition. Maybe because of this, maybe because of the current like ideology of games, it's fine to have like a deluxe edition, but don't have a gold edition, ultimate edition, an option to rent it. Like, it's ridiculous. There doesn't need to be so many options for a single player game. Just have one price, maybe 2 prices maximum, with a couple extra things, but that's it. Hell, even the Ultimate Edition wasn't even a collector's edition. Like, I wouldn't say a long time ago, but a couple years back, if I paid 120 to 150 euros for a game, I had an expectancy of getting something physical. It could be a figure, it could be a hard case of the soundtrack, it could be a metal cover of the game, it could be a couple just brand goodies, like just very tiny things. But nowadays, if you wanted the Ultimate Edition of Outlaws, you just get the Season Pass to play DLCs that you don't even know at the time what you're gonna get. You also just get a couple extra outfits, customizable for your pet and for your character, and that's it. Are you paying 100? I'm not going to go back into the price. If you want to watch that video, I'll link it down in the description. But that was another point I wanted to talk about. It's just when people look at the price of the game, they're going to be put off. They're just going to be put off. There's just so many options and everything is so redundant that most of the things should have been available in the standard edition. But they thought, you know what? It's a single player game. We don't really have any goodies for this. We're just going to take a couple things away from the base game and we're going to just rebrand it as the Gold Edition and the Ultimate Edition, and then they can buy that one instead. Because when I look at it, when I look at it, I'm just there like, some of these outfits you could have just got in-game. Like, why for a single player game? Look, if we're talking about multiplayer or MMOs, there could be an argument that can be done. If it's like a free-to-play or it's a very cheap game with a live service, okay, that's a different story. This is a single player game. There's going to be 1 or 2 DLCs, and that's it. Nothing else. Why can I not just earn the outfits? Why is that not a possibility? Why can I just not get rewarded by playing the game? I'm only being rewarded by having a fucking full-time job and being able to pay the Ultimate Edition where someone more poorer is not able to get it. Why? Why is that a thing? But that could also be the reason why it didn't reach the sales target. It's because you guys just added too many fucking prices. And the other thing I want to mention is Ubisoft itself. Because this is coming from the same company that says you don't really own your games. Alright? Hell, they're probably like the startup for the Stop Killing Games movement right now because of the crew. You know, it's like, how do you expect people to buy your product when you say to them that everything they buy they do not own? Why would they buy it then if they know they can't keep it? I don't get it. And you could make an argument that the people that read and know about Ubisoft's stand of their policy for games is people that are on Reddit or on YouTube and they follow the news and that sort of thing. And there's like a vast majority of casual players that don't pay attention to it. They just don't care much about it. They see a game, they're like, oh, I'll buy this for my son, or I'll buy this for myself, and that's it. But that's the problem. That's probably like 80 to 90% of the reason why you got 1 million copies sold. Because I feel like that argument is kind of mute at the moment. There's like so many people nowadays on Reddit and that sort of thing that I don't feel like it's anymore a minuscule opinion. If they say they don't want to buy it, they're not going to do it. All right. And sure, the casuals and the people that don't pay attention to Ubisoft stand and whatever, they'll probably buy it. But then the people that are following the news, they know their standpoint. They're not. Because why should they? They know they're not going to own it. And at any moment, they could take the game away from them. And that's it. And you paid 50, 80, or even 120 euros for that shit. And that's money you can't get back. At least at the moment. So you best believe, you hope they never do anything about Outlaws, because you might one day just lose the game. I don't know, man. I feel like the whole blaming Star Wars itself is such like just throwing a fucking tantrum. Like you're acting like a toddler, because in my opinion, Star Wars Outlaws has nothing to do with it. If you would have made a fucking space cowboy game, not set in the Star Wars universe, but you can't just fly around different planets, it's the same fucking gameplay, the same amount of bugs from the same developer with 4 different price tags, or you could also subscribe to their Ubisoft specific membership, you guys would have fucking lost it anyways. And who are you gonna blame it then now? There's no one else but yourself. Are you gonna blame the players for this? For not buying your game, even though we don't own them? I don't know. It's just absolute fucking bullshit, man. Get your head out of your ass and fucking think about what other people are expecting from you as a company, because this is just fucking ridiculous. Battlefront 2 did amazing. Sure, Battlefront 2 had a fucking rocky start at the actual beginning, you know, but that's because they were acting very scummy with the way prices worked. You know, you had the loot box system. Some people could get like an upgraded card, while others didn't have the option for. You had to buy fucking hero and villains. You know, classic Battlefronts never did that. You had everything unlocked, and then it still got popularity, and it still has. Here, you know what? No, let me take a look. Let me go to SteamDB. Oh, but you gotta look at the consoles too, man. Fuck consoles. Star Wars Outlaws. We are currently on the charts for 580 players, 880 peak, and 4,000 all-time peak since 4 months ago. And the highest peak, yeah, March. Can we get the max? Right, so even, it could be because maybe it didn't release on Steam at the beginning. Anyways, 4,000. Go Battlefront 2. You know, a game that's now like 8 years old. Doesn't have any more updates, nothing. So you play what you have. There you have it. 6,600. 12,000. You wish you had these amount of players, wouldn't you? Because then you probably would have reached your sales target. But instead you didn't. This is not going to happen to Outlaws. There's not a single setting that could happen in Star Wars media that's going to bring these numbers anymore. You know why? Because you fumbled the bag. And because your opinions about customers in itself has become so shit that we're just going to treat you like shit. That's my opinion. Like, this is just more about the company. Like I mentioned at the start, I have played Outlaws. I've gone up to the point where I finally reached Tatooine. So I've done the snowy area, the Ashen area, whatever it's called. I've gone to Tatooine. But the game is so dead easy and boring and simplistic. The only thing I really enjoyed about the game was using the mount, the speeder, and just travel across the world. Like, as a Star Wars game, it can be fun if you want to immerse yourself a little bit. But when I'm talking about a gameplay standpoint, it's just too basic, too safe. There's no experiment. Nothing is new. Everything is the same. It's like I'm just playing another Ubisoft game, and I don't want that. I just want something new, specifically for Star Wars games, because we don't even get that many like we did back in the day. We get like maybe a game every 2 or 3 years. I don't know. But you know what? These are my thoughts. I know no one's going to listen to them, but I still need to get them out because I'm happy they didn't reach the sales target. Genuinely happy, because fuck the company. I advocate piracy officially. As I said in this video, if you want to pirate games, try to do so, because that's the only way you can maybe own a game. So get to it, lads, because there's no other way to own them. Anyways, this has been Lucian Darth. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Peace.